Hi, my name's Paul Ferber. I've been Group Senior Writer for ITWeb for over 10 years now. And I also run the CIO, CFO and CMO roundtables for Brainstorm magazine. We've just had a great event today with a bunch of CIOs from a number of different industries. We've been talking about the fairly thorny problem of digital transformation. This is a concept which is very difficult to get your head around, but it's absolutely essential for the modern enterprise to survive. We had 16 to 18 guests here, all kicking around the topic of digital transformation. They are from various industries, so pharmaceutical, from telcos, from retail, from insurance, from government, from banking, and each with their unique challenges from their industries on digital transformation. And a number of interesting points came out from that. One is that it's very difficult to, as an IT department, say we're going to do digital transformation. It must come from the business. The business needs to say, we have to do digital transformation. There are a couple of very interesting examples from overseas in the first world. Rolls-Royce no longer sells jet engines per se, it sells hours of flight time on a jet. So Boeing and Airbus no longer have to worry about engines as product. They buy services, which is thousands of flight hours traveled. And the manufacturers are now adding maintenance and monitoring services on top of that. That's a totally different approach from cranking out big products like engines. And a lot of local companies are looking at transforming their businesses to become more service-oriented, more customer-oriented. And that's at the heart of digital transformation. But it's not easy. A lot of people, a lot of companies have very tight and very optimized supply chains. They have software in place that does this whole process very efficiently. They're going to have to rework those so that it becomes more orchestrated, more customer-centric, more service-centric, and more externally focused than perhaps they're traditionally used to. And that means a lot of things. It means the CIO's role changes a little bit. It may change a lot depending on the industry. It may require the CIO to work more closely with the board, because I think that one of the second conclusion to come out is that this is got to be driven by the business. It can't be an IT initiative. IT can't come in on a Monday morning and say, we're going to digitally transform the business. No, that isn't going to happen. The business has to decide that we're going to transform our business to a digital one. In other words, we're going to move to that external, that service-focused, that orchestrated way of doing things, which is maybe different from making giant products and sending them to customers. And the other thing that's really important is the culture change is big. It's not just about IT. IT departments are always under pressure to perform better than they did last year with 10% less budget. Now they're going to have to rework their processes, their way of tackling things, their way of innovation. A lot of our guests today made comments about how we need to embrace failure. Fail fast, fail quickly. If something doesn't work, we need to find out that it doesn't work and we need to move on to the next thing. Perhaps we don't have a culture of failure in this country. It's all viewed with suspicion. Whereas in the States, for instance, if you start a startup and fail within 6 months, that's fine. You've learned a lesson, you've learned that something didn't work, you just move on to the next thing. And I think that enterprises need to find some way of maybe isolating the initiatives that they have in digital transformation so they don't, take down the whole company. That's crazy. You don't want to gamble your entire supply chain operation on some crazy digital idea. You want to send it out to a department or send it out to some sort of skunkworks function that can do cool things with innovation, that can turn a mobile app around in 24 hours, that can experiment. In Gartner's recent conference last week, they said that bimodal IT, where you've got both the slow, predictable, keeping the lights on kind of IT and the fast, innovative stuff, is equally important. Companies need to get that balance right.
Hi, my name is Thomas Sweetaler. I'm a managing consultant and client partner at Datacon. Datacon is part of the Deutsche Telekom group, and we basically do within the Africa, sub-Saharan African space management consulting to predominantly the telco industry. So I'm here at Melrose Arch for the CIO Roundtable. because it's a topic that we are actually quite active in. It's the entire topic of digital transformation and bouncing off and discussing some ideas with other CIOs and other people in the industry to see where we are going with it. The big things that I've learned today is that the tools are in the shed. So we've got all the IT applications, all the apps, all those kind of things. That one of the biggest things is that we need to do is actually a cultural mind change. And the cultural mind change that needs to happen is to be a little bit more customer focused, customer centric. The CIOs need to be more leaders inside the business, be part of the executive board, drive innovation within inside the organization, not just be the custodians of the IT environment itself as well, but drive the requirements. And to be able to do that, we need to look at a leaner, agile type of organization where we have people who are delivering on these products and services that are represented by IT infrastructure partners. You've got your vendors and your platform suppliers, but not just that, but also people who are customer facing from marketing and sales to be able to drive these products within an agile type of environment. A key concept here is DevOps that we all know that can bring out these products and innovations much quicker. And one of the other key things that we've learned here is failure needs to be accepted. Fail quick, fail cheap is a big buzzword, because if you can fail very soon in an environment where you've realized that the requirements that your customer wants is not exactly to the specifications, you haven't invested 18 months of time and other investments into building these type of infrastructures. So the conclusion out of this is that CIOs need to be these leaderships inside the organizations and not just be part of a service provider to the organization, but actually lead the innovation together with the business itself.
Hi, my name is Tony Christodoulou. I'm the CIO for Europe, Middle East and Africa for American Tower Corporation, and it's good to be here. So American Tower is a global wireless provider in terms of infrastructure and real estate. We're currently in 14 countries at the moment, $60 billion business, operating across the globe from LATAM to EMEA with our head office in Boston. So I'm at the Melrose Arch Hotel, currently attending the CIO roundtable. It's not the first one that I've attended, so I get a lot of value from this. And today specifically, we focused on the digitization imperative and the transformation it means to our businesses. Around the table, you have many people from different sectors and industries, and we're all answering the same question is, well, what does this mean for our business? Just to talk about some of the takeaways from this, or to try and sum it up, is, two statistics really stuck with me when I think about the concept of digitization. The one is that 77% of the executive's priority is technology dependent. And the second is that in the next 5 years, 2/3 of technology touching customer experience is going to be evident. So when I think about things like this, the CIO is going to play a pinnacle role going forward in digitization strategy. So we as CIOs have to step it up. I like to use the word the transformational CIO. We can't sit in the background anymore, keeping the lights on of the business, having this cost conscious reduction mindset, reactive waiting for requirements. We need to step it up. We need to be in the front end of the business. We need to start engaging the business and start being seen as change agents of the business, as technology is now the imperative going forward to our business models. And this cut across all the different industries and sectors. So some of the key themes that came out is the importance of execution, our ability to execute effectively. If you look at the things of shadow IT and agile, a lot of this just comes out of the necessity to get things done quicker. So we as CIOs need to not only just focus on the noughts and ones and technologies, but our ability to deliver effectively to the business. How do we start engaging the business further? How do we start collaborating with the business to be successful? So going forward, the CIO really has to step it up and enable the business to be seen as a change agent in order to be driving the business successfully. There's a lot of buzzwords out there we're hearing in the markets about, BI and Internet of Things, but one of the things we spoke in the room was around some of the simplicity of just getting certain things correct, around how we interact with our business, how we start sitting at the round table to have valid conversations. So, that's just some of the great things that come out of this discussion is people have different views and perspectives, but ultimately we all agree that digital transformation is here and we can either sit by and be disrupted or be the disruptor.
Hi, my name is Kobus Liebenberg. I work in the digital transformation business in Ericsson. We're discussing the subject of digital transformation and how value will be created as a result of digital transformation transforming the lives of both consumers and, of course, companies in the various industries. So we've discussed many different subjects, and it was interesting to understand from the various industries how exactly digital has in fact penetrated those industries, varying from obviously entertainment and media, being highly penetrated with digital already, versus perhaps medical industry, whereby regulation is in fact not as advanced or enabled for digital value creation. Other things that were of interest was obviously the role of the CIO, and the fact that the CIO really need to think about how they establish and manage their relationship with business, but also start to think more externally as opposed to managing that value creation process internally. Because for the most part, not only do CIO's role invert, but also companies will invert, meaning that more value will be created outside the organization. And that is where the place is that CIOs in a digital world will need to look for value. We see that in the context of digital natives, people that are already part of the digital economy and have been born into that, will put a lot of pressure, in fact, on businesses and making sure that they, in fact, adapt and adjust to similar digital businesses that we, in fact, developed from scratch as digital platforms. In that we have companies like Amazon and Google, Facebook, those that are very well known to us. So at the end, when you think about what digital is and what it's not, the kind of conclusions that we came to today was that digital is very much about the consumer and creating value for the consumer through outside-in thinking, i.e. inversion. The second part is that we need to think about how security is a very important subject to consider in making sure that those services are delivered in a responsible way and that value is created every step within that delivery process. So it is very interesting to see how digital will in fact allow us to get more value by interacting with companies, but also, as we are currently doing on platforms such as social media, how we can create value for one another. And in that way, how either the CIO will enable or assist us in that collaboration, or otherwise how we ourselves will in fact demand the value that ultimately will improve our lives, no matter what our social background. And essentially Ericsson globally are two transformed entities now, one being a digital business and the other being a network business. And of course, digitization is all about connectivity on the one side, meaning network, and on the other side is all about applications and bringing value to the network and then connecting consumers with one another, with businesses, businesses to businesses and alike. So that's how Ericsson have actually readjusted their business model, and obviously that's will be our future source of growth. So this particular session, co-hosted with ITWeb Brainstorm, is obviously a very important platform for us in order to demonstrate how we collectively can add value and assist, in fact, CIOs in order to capitalize on the value of digital and digital transformation.